Hi, folks. This is Don Meissner with the North Country Fishing Report. You know, when I'm doing sports shows, I have people coming into our booth. If they get in there, first of all, if I see them in the aisle, I'll just say, "Do you like to fish?" And some people say, "No, never go fishing." So I won't belabor it. But if they do, they'll come into the booth. We'll talk about what they like to fish, and it kind of goes from there. But I had one guy come into the booth, and he was a tournament fisherman. We got talking about the sport possibilities that we have in our area and how wonderful the St. Lawrence River is. And he said, "Well, let me tell you some things that I've discovered being one of the leaders of our tournament group and some of the studies that the DEC has done." He said, at one point, we took 12 fish that were brought in a tournament, still alive in their bags, and they were released back in the water. But before they were released, they put tags in them. There were 6 smallmouth and 6 largemouth. And they wanted to see, number one, if they really do survive, and number two, where do they go once you put them back in the water? You know, when you have a tournament, you can have people coming from miles away. They took their boat, they caught their fish, and then they travel because boats are so fast today, they come back to where the tournament weigh-in is. And we wanted to know just where they go. Do the fish stay in our area, or do they go back where they were caught? Well, here is some interesting facts. Of those 12 fish, 6 were smallmouth, 6 were largemouth. The smallmouth will travel up to 40 miles to return to where it was caught. Largemouth, they just stayed where they were. They just formed a new home. And that was a huge difference. But then the question comes, how did these smallmouth go back to that very same spot? That's my question. How did they find the very rock that they were caught by 40 miles away? And his answer to me was they feel it's because they have such a sense of smell. Every river has a different smell. Every one of the feeder streams that come in along the St. Lawrence River have a different smell to that area. And so that's how these fish track the direction and the distance. Now, that's pretty amazing. But what it tells me is that the senses that these fish have are probably far greater than we give credit to. We're going fishing half the time for a fish that we want to catch, no matter what species it is. But each one of these species have such refined, and you know, our senses are so much diluted compared to other animals and birds and fish. But that's how they survive, is by using their senses. And if they can smell a different water 40 miles away, then they must be able to smell whatever we put on the hook to try to catch them. Everything's going to smell differently. They're going to have certain things that they're drawn to. But it just sort of makes fishing all the more interesting and exciting to me, because it seems like all the time, as the years pass, I'm learning more and more, and I marvel more at what these fish really are. I think they're a lot smarter. They hear better. I mean, they can interpret different sounds. They use every one of their senses to such a degree. But smell, that makes me think, boy, maybe I better look closer at some of the scents that we can put on our lures, because if they can smell as good as they appear, they're gonna be drawn to whatever we put out there. To me, it's exciting to learn more and more. And if I can learn this and pass it on to all of you, you might not be able to read some of the things that I have access to, that I can find some of these facts about. But I'm always going to try to pass them on. So even if we're not made better fishermen, I think it gives us a greater appreciation for the quarry that we go after. Until next time, folks, this is Don Meissner with the North Country Fishing Report.